Hey, UPB from OptionMillionaires.com. Folks, Jimmy Bob's been behind LinkedIn for quite a long time. The stock was just mired, languishing, and a lot of people thought the price per earnings ratio was just out of this world. Stock was going to go to zero, and Jimmy Bob was behind it. Check the post there. Go to the blog at OptionMillionaires.com. Do a search. For LinkedIn, you'll see a man who steadfastly stood behind the stock and look, reaping the rewards. Alerted and talked about them in the chat room, the 150 calls, the 145 calls for earnings. Look at that gap we had last Friday. Amazing move post earnings. Continued on to hit new all-time highs today. If you look at the option contracts, the 150 options that expired today, the 150 calls, 5 cents just 2 weeks ago to almost 13 bucks today, closed at 12.76. That's why we trade options. You would say, yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but yes, Jimmy Bob's been behind it for a while, was behind it for earnings, and ultimately just a tremendous profit to be made there. To put that kind of monetarily into perspective, 10 calls at 5 cents would have cost you 50 bucks, and you could have sold them for 13 each. That's 13 grand. So that would be 50 bucks into $13,000. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Obviously, to precisely get the bottom and the top would have been almost impossible, but to get something in the mid-range, say the 50 cents area here, and get out at the 550 for a nice significant gain on capital is certainly feasible. And that's what we do at OptionMillionaires.com. Jimmy Bob focuses on a few stocks in particular. Let's go to Sam Adams, which reports earnings after the bell this coming week. Hit an all-time high. Now, he saw the breakout, saw the tremendous short interest. The fact that the stock has very light volume compared to the amount of shares that are actually short. So if you're watching Carl Icahn on CNBC today, talking about what one of the characteristics of a company he would like to buy or take over, or maybe get in there and be an activist in, would be a stock that's got a tremendous short interest and also has the potential to return capital and make money for him. So Sam Adams obviously fits the bill. And Jimmy Bob put it great. Look at the low volume today where we have like 84,000 shares exchange hands. We need another couple hundred days like that just for the shorts to cover their shares. So we could be witnessing it when earnings comes this week, another massive spike like we saw last earnings, where the stock gapped up almost 30 bucks a share, continued higher, and look at it. Chart looks very nice. We're breaking out. Shorts are starting to come to their senses, and the stock could see continued upside. And this is all Jimmy Bob. Behind it, folks, massive short interest in the stock. Nobody who short this stock wants it to go higher. They want to be able to cover their stock, their short positions at lower prices. I don't think this current action is showing a stock that's going to fall. It's this formation showing a stock that's going to spike higher post earnings this week. Let's go into another one. Actually alerted in the chat room this week, Cena, and we have the Ditto Trade account is up for Jimmy Bob. UPB here. I have a Ditto Trade account as well that we're going to utilize as a follow account, and you can see the chart, folks. This is a beautiful bull flag. Okay, we have the spike higher. This is from just at the start of December. Spike higher, consolidation. This is the flag here, the flag pattern. Breakout. Jimmy Bob saw this, got into the $55 calls. The Ditto Trade account at 22 cents. They hit $2.40 today. $2.40. So do the math on that. 10 contracts at 22 cents is 220 bucks. The high was $2.44, I believe. So that's 220 to 2,400 bucks. Anyway, to see how much higher it potentially can go, if you just look at this chart, I'm not going to get too bullish on it yet, but we could see a move at least to 59 here. That's Cena. Let's go into some other stocks here, and then we'll call it a night. I like the drama going on with HLF. We talked about this, Carl Icahn, just a couple minutes ago, but HLF. Folks, the chart still, look at that. Look at that, folks. See this trend line? That's why I do my chart classes, and in the week ahead, we'll hold it every Sunday night. We've been doing it for quite a while now. Every Sunday night at 10:30. This line has not moved. I didn't adjust this for your viewing pleasure. Look how beautifully it came up. I'm going to do a little chart video on stocktwits.com. Talk about it. The chart is still bearish. Okay, Icon could buy 6 trillion shares. The chart is bearish. But obviously, in this market, we've seen it with the central banks that they're printing money hand over fist. A chart means nothing compared to the unlimited pockets of central bank, and same goes with Carl Icahn, who can just buy. Okay, it could be a Ponzi scheme, it could be a pyramid scheme, it could be a stock that deserves to be at zero. But if Carl Icahn's buying up the float and there's a massive short position in the stock, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the law of gravity. So, or supply and demand in this case. We have a seemingly decreasing supply, and we're going to have also going with that demand increasing, which could ultimately be Ackman covering a short. But we saw look at this candle, black candle, and just look at the one-day action as Icon came on at 12:30. See the spike lower, continues to sell off. So somebody was unloading their position. Chapman was on Bloomberg talking about it, maybe getting back in, but he liquidated, took his profits. So again, look at that right there. I mean, just amazing. I didn't put that in after the fact, put it in before the fact. I've been talking about that. You can go to stocktwits.com and see how this line was here right when I did the chart almost a month ago, a little over a month ago actually. Well, it was just about a month ago. So, all right, 2BB here from OptionMillionaires.com. 2 positions. Let me just get into two positions that I'm holding through the weekend, the long holiday weekend, folks. We don't start trading again until Tuesday. I have 2 positions. One is JP Morgan Chase, which is a freight train. Look at the last 9 months for this, since the whale over there in Europe, when we dropped down to about 30.50, stock has been on a complete rip tear. And I think no better chance to get for downside. Now you could wait for a top, a definitive top in the stock, or you can start scaling into puts ahead of the curve, which would give you better profit potential. That's what I've done. I didn't get a lot. I got the 48.50 puts for 19 cents. And today's action, we saw the bounce late in the session. Okay, but ultimately the puts went to about 40 cents from 19 cents, closed at 31 cents, and we have a whole week for those puts. Probably going to sell them if we get a pullback on Monday or Tuesday. We'll get out of it. But you can see we topped again. We're seeing these spikes here up to the 49.45 range being rejected. Being rejected again. Okay, this is almost a head and shoulders pattern. Short term though. It's only a 2-day, so it's not any kind of definitive turnaround in the stock. And another option that I purchased today was ZAGG. ZAGG, I've been behind the stock for quite a while. We had an alpha. Somebody came out basically on talking about the stock, saying that it's under investigation. We know this. This is old news, folks. Old news. The CEO basically was trying to raise capital for himself via selling stock for ZAGG, and did it probably illegally. The SEC is investigating. This will weigh on it. We also have possible shareholder lawsuits, class action lawsuits. That's weighing on the stock. And I think what we're going to see kind of ignored is that action here. Is we've found a bottom here at about the 675 range, okay, and I think we're going to see a breakout. So I'm in the $7 calls, 80 cents, which is great. Not a lot of premium there. We close at 756. I'm only 23 cents or 24 cents off the current. So that's the premium, the extrinsic value. 24 cents. Right now those options are intrinsically worth 56 cents. So love that trade. We have earnings coming up. Okay, I know Apple disappointed for earnings, but that doesn't mean ZAGG is going to disappoint. They've reported great earnings every quarter. And this notoriously is their best quarter. If you go back a year, let me just go back a little further. Yeah. Okay, a year, and you can see the spike. This is coming into earnings last year. And look at the spike from about 8 something to over $10 a share, and then continued higher. So I'm in the February the March, the March calls, and looking for upside for the stock. All right, this is UPB here from OptionMillionaires.com. We had a very nice week for a lot of traders out there. Personally, let's just look at the SPY, the S&P 500's. It's been a difficult nut to crack the last, say, 20 days if you're trading some of the more sensitive stocks, as far as the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the SPY, where we're seeing these intraday small moves in either direction, but not big enough if you're trading out of the money stock options to make any kind of real money, unless you're trading very quickly, being very nimble in this market. And so I'm just right now keeping my position small, trading it light. We have the slow melt up. Folks, we've been calling for this for a long time at OptionMillionaires.com. Okay, go back, look at the blog. QE, Infinity, just the central banks all are just printing money hand over fist, and the least resistance is to the upside. There's really nowhere else to put your money these days, unfortunately. Bonds are selling off. We're seeing yields rise, and TLT, although bounced today, did close down about 1/3%, and we're seeing the long-awaited flight out of the bond market, and that money has to go somewhere. It's either going to go under a mattress, it's going to go into junk or municipal bonds, or it's going to go into the stock market, which will ultimately offer the best potential for return. So, all right, UPB here from OptionMillionaires.com. Thanks for tuning in. Again, Sunday night, 10:30 p.m. We have the live webinar the week ahead. Earnings are winding down, but we got plenty to talk about at OptionMillionaires.com. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday night at OptionMillionaires.com. Goodbye.